Hello everyone and welcome back to Coral Cove. It's Kate Plays. Before we jump into the koala build today, we're going to go ahead and check in with our adorable Quokka family. First we have Cashmere, the youngest of the trio. She is so tiny and adorable. She really loves to take naps inside the Quokka den, but can also be found hopping around their large enclosure. Next we have Marble, the name we chose for the smooth and stoic male Quokka father. As you can see here, the whole trio really does fancy a midday nap in the Quokka den on most days. The staff of Coral Cove absolutely love taking care of these adorable creatures and are very happy to report that Cashmere could potentially be a great candidate for contributing to the conservation efforts of the species. So as we jump into today's video, I want to let you know it will be a little different than normal. Today, we're going to go through a live tour of Eucalyptus Grove, our koala habitat here at Coral Cove. And for a few items, I will show you a quick speed build and talk about how I built it. Oh, and be on the lookout for koala facts throughout the video. Stick around to the end for all 6. So here we are at the entrance to Eucalyptus Grove. I'm really loving how the sign and foliage turned out. I think it looks really lovely here. A good blend of the eucalyptus trees and the island palette I made. Since a few of the community members from Gunther's Gaming Discord really like this area, I thought it would be a good first speed build area. So I started with the foliage and I lined the coastal pig face around the edge. It makes a really nice edge to the path. I'm hoping that that and the black curb will tie the whole zoo together. I laid in different layers of different colored grasses from that palette. The foliage palettes that I made really helped from the earlier Planning a Zoo episode. I then add in some scavola bushes, which are always a chef kiss in tropical areas, and some medium height plants. We're also going to look at a speed build of how I did that fence in just a little bit. So I will pop that into the video as well. Then onto the sign. I start with a flat red desert rock and I add the lettering to it in one of the 2D fonts that are in game. I like to use the X to get it to align and then Control X to place all of the other letters in alignment. Once I get them all aligned, I go ahead and group them together and color them. I tried to get a nice eucalyptus type color. And then I use a trick I learned from ZSH Plays where you color another grouping of that font in a darker color shade and layer it a few times to get an outline effect on your font. I then grouped all of those together and aligned it to the rock. And from there, I wanted it to look like it was attached somehow. So I ended up using the LED tubes. Actually, the LED tube caps, yeah, to make connectors of a sort. And I lined these all along the back. And once I lined it up with the rock, I felt like it still needed more pizzazz. And that is where the koala came in and the wood planks. A subscriber told me that seeing my thought process would be nice on the items I choose. So you'll see me leave a couple of times like this in this video where I show the items I go through. I usually just place one with an X, position an item I think I want there, and then go through the catalog by pressing the items to see if any others fit. And when I get something I like, I just use Control X to place it. A tip I have is rotating them 180 degrees to get different textures. And that's pretty much the sign finished. I ended up adding the leaf a little bit later for some more detail. So let's go ahead and head on over to the guest entrance to Eucalyptus Grove. I really love the way this curb turned out. I really doubt that I will be loving it when I am putting it all over the park. But once you head on into the guest entrance, you are greeted with a really lovely open walkway. It really is a grove of trees in here. The purpose of the plaster or potentially concrete bowl style would be to deter the koalas from going to the edges of their habitat and prevent escapes. So I thought that would be a cool item to show you how I made that. What I did was I used the terrain tools, a combination of the push and flatten to foundation tools to make that circular indent. And then I used the flatten to foundation tool to flatten the area I wanted the restaurant and smoothed it all out. I then used 2 plaster pieces to make the shape of that edge and color them the orangish color and make them a group. I then copy them around the edges, and it was a real pain to get just right. But I used the push and pull tools to make the terrain look like sand was at different levels around the edges of the bowl. Let me know how you think it turned out. It really is a very different concept from a lot of the koala habitats I saw in the reference photos, but it was really fun to build, if I do say so myself. As you can see here, I made a lot of man-made climbing structures for the koalas. And although they're on the ground right now, they do actually climb on them sometimes. This is an attempt to get the koalas up to a better level for viewing as much as possible for the guests. In the wild, they do like to spend most of their time in the trees, so this would give them the opportunities to demonstrate those behaviors in the habitat. Here is some footage that I'll pop in for proof that they do climb on my structures. This was before I placed the ropes, but I have seen it after as well, so I don't think they interfere. I also made a really cool overhead climbing opportunity at the suggestion of a community member of Gunter's Discord. So check out Gunter's gaming channel. It was Aussie Bloke who made that suggestion. And if you would like to be able to see sneak peeks and provide suggestions, definitely check out Gunter's gaming Discord and his channel. As we walk out, we see the Wallaby Waypoint fence, and I have to say, I have really been digging the custom fences I've been building for Coral Cove. So let's check out how I built this one right now for the Eucalyptus Groves. I use the archer to make sure I get sizing right and make sure the fence mesh is the right height. I then struggle just a little bit to figure out exactly the item I want to use to create the edges of the fence, like the fence frame, I guess you would call it. I end up really liking the Indonesian stained timber piece, I believe it is, that I go with. I place a few pieces to look through, and when I recolor that Indonesian stained timber piece, I believe, I use the orange undertone for the paint and then brown on top, and I really end up liking the way it looks. So once I have that, I go ahead and add that to the side and delete the other pieces. What I find is that if you can use a longer piece instead of doubling it up, do that. So I switch it to the 4-foot piece and use that to frame the mesh. Once I have it framed, I go ahead and slant this top piece to add an overhang to prevent the koala from being able to climb out as easily. Again, rotating 180 degrees to avoid duplicating textures. And then I use a 1 meter shorter and thinner piece to frame in the edges here. When I'm looking at it, I think it needs more because that top is empty, so I add a grassland pole. This way it kind of implies a hot wire. If the koala did manage to get that high, it wouldn't be able to get out. Once I like it, I group that whole set and then I duplicate it so that I can make the glass viewing panels. And to do that, I just remove the mesh and look around for a glass panel that I like. Once each set is done, you pretty much just begin copying them around the outside of the habitat. I usually delete the outside edge of whatever side I am attaching. That way it attaches nicely. You'll see me do that here. I made a 3-panel glass viewing area on both sides of the habitat, and then I fill in the rest with the mesh panels. So as we walk out of the grove, take this pathway down, and we will eventually have the wombat habitat over here to the left. I am super excited to build that next. We will come over here and check out the glass viewing area. You will see as we come up here, I tried to put lots of grasses, twigs, stumps, even a tree down. This is an attempt to give some interest to the habitat floor area. I really like the way these window panels turned out. The edging of these ones make it easy to make a glass viewing. Over here, I placed several of the Oceana Pack building blueprints. They are just so lovely. The detail is immaculate. I have been waiting to put them down since the pack came out, so I placed some staff facilities, some toilets, and a hat shop. So let's go check out Koala Kitchen. On the way, we will take a stop right here and look at how I built in the habitat gate. Thought it was pretty nifty. I sunk conservation slats just deep enough to see the pin pad still and put one of the staff entry signs on there. And as you can see, the staff still use it just fine. I think it blends pretty nicely. I replicated the front signs here for Koala Kitchen. Looking at it now, I want to add the koala, maybe just in the other direction. Tell me in the comments, yes, add koala, no, no koala. Continued the curb and then added the Oceana Blueprint restaurant. I didn't do much, but add in the Oceana panels here inside. I want to make them match the other colors in Coral Cove, but that can wait for the free update, and that multi-select flexi color tool Am I right? Gotta be one of my favorite things coming for the free update, if I'm being quite honest. And here we are on the patio of Koala Kitchen. The views here are spectacular. Not only do you get to see the cute koalas as you eat, but you get to see this amazing view of the coast as well. There are several table options, some with fruit bowls, some with umbrellas. They all match the Coral Cove color scheme, which looks fantastic. I honestly would love to come eat lunch on this patio on my trip to an island zoo. It would be perfect. And I do think, if I'm right, somebody just got fed. Oh, I am right. Look at that. Look at that. We're going to be bad guests and hop right on through the glass here to check out the inside of the habitat. And this is a perfect time to talk about our two koalas. We have Kenny up in the tree there and Carla on the ground over here. They were rescued from the aftermath of a mining company's destruction of their homeland, Eucalyptus Grove. Both were badly injured and they will never be able to return to the wild on their own. But they are expecting a beautiful Joey. And you know that Coral Cove is up to the task of conservation for sure. That brings us to the end of this Coral Cove episode, my friends. I will be sure to include some cinematics for your viewing pleasure here at the end. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and comment to help our community continue to grow. I really thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And happy zookeeping, everybody. I'll see you in the next one.